We are here in northeast Kenya, and we're with the Somali Giraffe Project. And with me right now is Sangale Edwin, and he's the Species Conservation Coordinator with this team. We've had an incredible week here in northeast Kenya, tagging giraffes, looking at what it takes to protect the reticulated giraffe, which is now recently listed as endangered. Now, there's a lot that goes into this project, but it's not always best coming from me, and the local people here in the community here really knows best, and Sangale is one of them. So, you've had your hands full over the last, 8 years, 7 years since you've started here, 6 years?
Yes,
It's been 6 years.
Yes.
What is the biggest challenge for you specifically? Because you have a very unique role here. What is the role that you play, and how does that fit into the conservation success?
So basically what I do is I tailor programs that are meant to conserve the reticulated giraffe as a species. So as I started, we were with the Hirola Conservation Program. Then in 2018, when the reticulated giraffes, but in particular, were listed as endangered, we began the Somali Giraffe Project within the Hirola Conservation Program. This was, of course, founded by Dr. Ali, who saw it fit that just in case, instead of focusing on one species, we do species that occur across northeastern Kenya. And now that giraffes were listed as endangered, we decided that we take upon the weight to just start conserving them. And basically what I do is I curate programs that are meant to conserve the reticulated giraffe, and our programs, we really curate them in a very community participatory way, because here the giraffe occur entirely on community land. So without community participation and the buy-in of the community, you don't really get a smooth ride. So basically we really emphasize that we tell the community we need you on board.
Mm-hmm.
We need to carry you along as we begin this journey, and as we conserve giraffes, because it can't just be our effort, since the giraffes are in your land, they're your heritage. And the good thing is that they understand this, and they have been supportive so far. So basically what we do is try get communities every day and tell them that these giraffes, they need us. And combining their knowledge on giraffes and the science that we bring on board, we try to merge them and come up with solutions that will help save the reticulated giraffes.
So you're talking about how important it is for the community to be involved.
Yes.
So once upon a time, and maybe there's still some of this, they were essentially herders. So they would bring their livestock across the land and move across the land. But now, from my understanding, there is a push towards, and there's been more actual farming, and they're placing the farms along the river. And so that creates challenges because there's crops along the river, the giraffes need to get to the water, and so they have to pass through the farms, and they're eating the crops, which creates pushback. And so if you don't have protected areas for giraffes here, there's no reserves, there's no parks, it really is just free range.
Yes.
If the community is being negatively affected by the giraffe, how do you put the measures in place? So I imagine that transition from herders to having stationed farms in these critical areas is probably the most pressing point.
Yeah, so of course there are other threats that face giraffes. We have habitat loss, pushed by also the farms participate in that, and we have poaching, which is also huge across the country and across this region. So with the farmers, it's, Somalis are traditionally herders.
Mm-hmm.
But now, due to challenges with climate change, such as drought, and people are losing their livestock, so it has pushed some of the community members into a sedentary sort of lifestyle where they come near the river, they farm, and because most of them have abandoned herding because it's becoming a challenge due to the climate crisis that we are in currently. So, and now at the farms, the problem we are having is most of the farms are now occupied across the banks of the river.
Right.
So, and besides the farms, we have the Prosopis juliflora, which is an invasive species that has taken over the river banks. So it's very difficult for giraffes to access some of the traditional water points that they know. Even the community still utilize them. They're traditionally called malkas. So when these areas are blocked by this Prosopis julifloras, all the farms, so giraffes have to force their way into the river through the farms. And basically what happened is they developed an appetite for the mango flowers.
Right.
So now with this mango flowers, and even just to get a mature mango tree to flower, it takes about like 5 years. So when they come and destroy that, you can imagine how it is for the farmer.
Right.
After you wait for 5 years, your crops are flowering, then giraffes just come
and take
them out. So it's really been a challenge. And now they have to apply various methods. Some of the farm workers, they're afraid of losing their jobs. Of course, you're there at the farm. The owner will come and tell you, where were you when my mangoes were being eaten? So some of them, out of that anger, they use very crude methods to keep the giraffes away. But we are trying to make them to leave those traditional. Some of the methods, they're traditional, but some of them are very harmful to the giraffes, and we don't want them to continue with that practice. So we are trying to get them to adapt modern and cheaper, that is cost-friendly methods to deter giraffes, such as the use of solar lamps that we use. We are currently piloting and working with about 50 farmers. So what we are doing is we are piloting these methods. We are using some scarecrows. We are doing solar lamps. We are doing bee fences. And then in these farms, we monitor the occurrence of the conflict with this area so that we know which is the most effective methods. And then from this study, we'll be able to pick that this works here, this doesn't work here. And of course, we are also using lime as to encourage some sort of mixed farming where we have lime and mangoes, just to cut off the loss, because we realize that even lime is a really profitable plant, a profitable crop compared to mangoes.
Right.
So we are trying to get them to shift and plant a bit of lime that could keep away giraffes, just to reduce the temptation to get into the mangoes. So we are doing that, and we're also linking them now with markets that sell like lime juice in Nairobi, so that they can get their livelihoods through that. So it's just about boosting their livelihoods while also protecting the needs of the giraffe. But sometimes it's really hard to find the balance.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we'll get there.
Yeah, I was going to say, because realistically, you know, for example, this Fahlo project, right, and partnering with you, there's always such a focus on the animal.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. But the thing is, if you simply only focus on the animal, you're not going to have success here. You can dump as much money as you want to into trying to protect this animal. But if you don't actually pump money into the community efforts and bringing people on board and doing things just like that, finding ways to actually find solutions for the local people, you'll never have success with a reticulated giraffe.
Yes, because, you know, even with the programs that we do, especially for the species conservation, the habitat restoration, and all other ecological projects that we do, the results wouldn't come right now.
Right.
It takes a while.
Yeah.
If you are restoring a habitat, it takes like almost a 30-year project
Right.
for you to realize the fruits of that. Because you're trying to reverse, let's say, the impacts of things that happened, let's say, like 4 decades ago. So you can't just reverse it in 1 year or 2 years. And you know, now that's the difficult part of telling the community that this will bear fruits later. They need something now.
Right.
They need a solution for, as we wait for the future, what is there for us now?
Right.
So that's why you have to come with these contingency measures and this community livelihood programs that will keep them going as we wait for the long-term
right.
coexistence impact that we will enjoy.
Right.
Yeah.
And so giraffes have this other, I guess, challenge in that, yeah, you know, they want to get to the river to have water.
Yes.
But the other challenge being that they love acacia trees. But acacia trees is also used as energy, as fuel, as charcoal, correct?
Yes.
So is there a significant loss of these trees across this landscape? What's happening with the acacia trees, and how does that play into the giraffes?
Okay, so what happens is with the acacia trees, we are seeing that the invasive trees that I talked about, like the Prosopis juliflora, we have the acacia refuges, they are really taking over the land. And the native trees that giraffe eat, like Acacia totilis, are disappearing. And for some reason, people also use the Acacia totilis now for charcoal. And we're trying to get them not to do that so that we can use the invasive trees for charcoal as a way of also eliminating them. But now when they use the Acacia totilis, it becomes a challenge, and it's creating a lot of habitat loss for Hirola now. For giraffes, because now they are eliminating these trees and giraffes end up with no food. And so when they lack this diet now, if they can't find these trees, eventually you find them now heading towards the mango where they now have a taste for it. And it's really a big challenge. It's also because even beyond just the physical conflict, it's also messing up their diet selection.
Right.
Yeah, where now they're like, why should I struggle to eat this thorny tree, and I can just wait to go down by the river
Right.
and have some soft mango flowers. So, and yeah, it's really like a really big issue that has this parts to it. Yeah.
And so obviously there's such a focus on the science, the research, right? And people always connect these high-tech solar-powered GPSs to science specifically. And yes, that's like the entry point as to what people understand how these are used and how we can understand giraffes better and how they're there's their movement ecology in general. But by using this, you can pinpoint different hotspots as to maybe farms that continue to frequent, so how can you put protective measures to help this farmer out a little bit more, or maybe wherever they're hanging out mostly, and you can see where they're congregating. So how is it that the GPS doesn't just focus and help on the actual science, but how does it actually play into all these other little pieces?
Okay, so with the GPS collars, of course, it tells us the resource use of giraffe, how they use their resources around them. So what happens is with their movement, we are able to know where, especially during the change in seasons, we are able to know where they are dominantly occupying during the dry season and where they are during the wet season. And the way it happens to be here, it's a very remote area, mobility is very difficult. So when we have this giraffes collared, we get data from areas that we can't even access.
Right.
Areas where just giraffes go.
Right.
But we can go. And we're able to track them throughout the land, all over across the landscape and across their habitats. So it really helps in just beyond the science of giraffes. It tells you where they like to be at what time.
Right.
And it's very easy now to say that, let's say they go to the farms mostly during the dry season, so that's when the conflict is rampant, so that's when we know how to step up.
Okay.
So we really get the timing right.
Right.
When you're trying to address some of these issues.
So basically, you use these collars to help keep up or adapt with the shifting times and challenges that constantly arise. And in conservation, that is always happening. There's always shifts. It's never the same for one decade. The next decade could be completely different, and that could be dictated from climate change. That could be dictated through so many different factors. And so if you can take data over the course of time in say 10 years and another 10 years and 10 years, yes, you can use that to help over a long period of time understand movement for short term and long term.
For short term and long term, because even the challenge we have right now is our climate is so unpredictable right now.
Right.
You can have 1 minute just like 3 years of full drought, the next minute it's flooding. So with that kind of unpredictability, you sort of need these collars to tell you some of this, to predict some of these issues that are happening. So you get to know, you get to anticipate some of these things. But without the collars, when you do the physical monitoring yourself, it's tedious. You need a lot of resources to do it, because full well a lot of rangers are involved. You need like a lot to do that. But with the collars, you get to know these things in a very high-tech and in a very simple way.
So obviously Fahlo comes in and supports the collars, right? People think probably it just always goes straight to the collars, but the collars is one part. The funding can be dispersed across the needs that you have. It might be, for example, helping with some of the deterrents or scarecrows. The funding could help in all different aspects. So when people are looking to support your project through Fahlo, it's not just here's a piece of technology. The funding can be used however the professionals and the experts, being you guys, know where that funding needs to be moved around. Like we just talked about, you said that the farmers need compensation or solutions now. And if we're just putting money into the GPS collar specifically, it's a losing battle. So the funding goes to you guys and you kind of disperse those funds where you need them most based on you knowing these animals best and your community needs.
Yeah, because with the collars, that's basically it. We get to know both the needs of the giraffes and the needs of the community. And it helps us shape the conservation work that we do, because of course the communities they're looking for really quick solutions, and so you need to like really do quick interventions that will help you get there and can help you talk to them and have something to say to them, because without this data, when you can't just walk into a conflict blind.
Right.
You can't just walk into a conversation without knowing anything. So you go there and it's easy to tell them that this happens and this happens, because even with the hotspots, right now with the community buying that we are getting, there are conservancies coming up, because we are identifying these hotspots.
Right.
It's very easy to come up with conservancies, because it's very easy to approach a community and tell them, we are noticing that this is a very good hotspot for giraffes. This is where they are. This is where they come to do the calving. This is like their mating areas. So, and this is like their movement corridor. Yeah, we need to protect these giraffes. And once you simplify a way to show them that data, and they understand, they're like, yeah, even us, we see these giraffes here. So it's very easy to come up with this strategic community conservation areas that protect giraffes in so many ways, because they use different areas to do different things. Sometimes you'd find them in thick forest, maybe the nursery herds that are doing calving there. Sometimes you find them in open spaces where it's just males relaxing, and that's where maybe they find a lot of browse on the acacia. So it's really just beyond the technology. It comes with a lot.
So, giraffes are obviously now listed as endangered. And I honestly had no idea that they were, because when I usually visit Africa, usually South Africa, sometimes when I come to Kenya, and we're going to Zambia next week, you see giraffes. You don't think, there's not a focus on them for some reason in the conservation space. I don't know why that is. I think it was in some roundabout way a good thing that there's enough data now collected to list them as endangered, because now it's risen a flag.
Yes.
I didn't know even that they were threatened to the state that they are now. How do you feel about, I don't like to use the word hope, because hope is hope. It's like, how do you feel in terms of finding that concrete solution based on you tailoring things and understanding how giraffes in this environment are? How do you feel about the long term of giraffes and their future? Do you feel not just hopeful, but do you feel like, yes, there is a solution? It's just getting all the pieces together to then combat it.
So there's actually hope, and we feel like the profile of giraffe is really coming out. Of course, with programs such as Fahlo, it's raising like the profile of giraffes, both locally and internationally. Because one of the things you said is there's not really much focus on giraffe. Just like you would be surprised, I'd tell you there's twice as many elephants as giraffes. But people just talk about the elephants. Right. But there are twice as many as giraffes. So what we really had, the challenge we really had is that the plight and the profile of the reticulated giraffe wasn't really out there as compared to other species. And right now there is hope, because at least the attention is coming out through the programs that we are doing, because we're also doing community awareness. We do it across schools, across community areas where we get the adults, just basically across all generations, to sort of understand where giraffes are and what are their needs and how they can help. So you find out with this, once you have the plight known to many people, that's when now you get the hope.
Right.
Because now, if they get to understand these things, it's easier for you, but you don't want to sound like a geek telling people
Yeah.
about giraffes, and they don't really know what's going on. They're like, okay,
Yeah.
tall animals,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But now, with the kind of awareness that these programs raise, it's just easy to tell the story. And once people know the story, they know what to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've heard it now from the team that knows best. I mean, I've not seen a more challenging environment with a complex variety of scenarios that make it extremely difficult for the reticulated giraffe to thrive. And being listed as endangered, we need all of the resources coming together to try and combat that. This is a very harsh environment. There's not a lot of resources. The community really relies on the land, but so do the giraffes. And so when you have two species colliding like this, most cases humans do prevail and overcome. But we need giraffes. Giraffes are very important to this landscape, this ecosystem. And so we need to find ways to interconnect and live in harmony. And so if you want to, if you can, please look to Fahlo along on the Fahlo app, purchase one of these bracelets, purchase one of these reticulated giraffe plushies. And if you get behind Fahlo, you're getting behind the Somali Giraffe Project team. And you can learn more. I know that you're going to be presenting at the Wildlife Conservation Network in the next week. They're doing a recording and a presentation on resilience, and I can tell you that they've picked the perfect team, because here, if you're not resilient, you're in a lot of trouble, and this team really does know best. So you can check that recording out, and we'll link it after this. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.